Ho, 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 dudes! Welcome to €2 vegan Christmas dinner. This is quick, simple, easy. I went to the supermarket this morning. I spent a little over than €8 and we're gonna have enough food to feed 4 to 5 people, I reckon, at least. It's gonna take us about an hour to make and it's gonna taste amazing. It freezes really well, and this is a great one for if you're having a student Christmas party, if you're economically challenged, you're on a budget, this fits it perfectly. So there's 4 parts to this dinner. We've got carrots and spuds, obviously they're gonna make up the roasted veg. We're gonna make a beautiful Wellington, a simple, easy Wellington, and then we're gonna serve it with a bit of cabbage just to get a bit of greenery. But we're not gonna do a typical cabbage, we're gonna do it with a bit of
Asian
garlic,
style.
chili, and a bit of sesame oil. So, first step, we're gonna start with the carrots.
Chop any little bad bits off them, and you want them lengthwise, don't you?
Yeah.
And he kind of wants them into large batons.
Yeah.
Are you looking for?
Yeah. So we're just gonna, all our carrots, we've chopped them into nice little batons. They're really nice and delicious. I'm gonna add probably 2 tablespoons of oil over these because we really want to encourage the caramelization.
A good generous pinch of salt, it'll help just encourage it. Again, it'll release a bit of moisture and help them become crispier, more delicious.
The carrots are probably gonna take, I'd say 40 minutes in the oven. So they're the first ones I'd get in the oven. And just make sure and really rub them so you coat every bit of the carrots. So carrots are well coated with oil and salt. Oven is preheated to 200 degrees and I'm gonna pop them in straight away. They'll take about 40 minutes to cook.
Okay, next up we got a kilo of spuds. We got them on bargain budget, they were 49 cents. We're gonna chop them into just little kind of wedges. Okay, the one thing with your spuds is you want them to be consistent size. They're gonna cook consistently. For me, I like a good bit of exposed surface area because you can put a bit of oil in it, it can create more caramelization. So again, kilo potatoes chopped finely. Again, important thing is oil and salt.
Probably about 2 tablespoons again, something like that.
And spuds can take quite a bit of salt, so again, don't be that afraid of it. I'm going with approximately a little bit under a teaspoon, which might seem like a lot, but I guess this is Christmas. This is, you know, a time of going
If any
all out.
dinner's going to be indulgent and decadent, this is it.
Yeah.
And I know budget and decadent don't go hand in hand, but we're going to break the rules today.
Woo!
Okay, so there we go. Make sure they're all spreaded out. And we're going to pop them in the oven, same again, the preheated oven, and these will probably take about 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, so next up we're going to start our Wellington. I've got a pan, a nice wide bottom pan. I think wide works really good for making the stuffing for the Wellington. I'm going to add in a tablespoon of oil. Okay, so the oil's heated up. We've prepped 1 onion. I think it was 43 cents. Meanwhile, my dearest brother, he's going to start grating carrots and parsnips.
Oh, I love this. Okay, take your golden grater, really important to make this just next level. We're going to grate it. The main reason we're going to grate it is just it's going to make it easier to break down and cook consistently. So in essence, they're going to be like a little rosty. I think I'm going to just grate onto the board.
Yeah, please do. So that was 3 carrots and 1 parsnip. So we ended up with a mound of it. I'm probably not going to use it all, but I've got a good 2 decent handfuls. Very important here, I'm going to go in with probably a decent teaspoon of salt. I'm aware I'm using a tablespoon, but approximately that much salt. Very important, it's just going to break down the cell walls of the carrots and parsnips and help them come together.
In Ireland, we call carrot and parsnips parrots.
Parrots, yeah. Or carsnips. Leave a comment below and let us know what you favorite.
Parrots or carsnips?
So we found a bit of thyme and sage just in the herb garden we have here, and I'm just going to pop in a little bit of thyme. I'm just taking it off the stalk.
So they're well worth seeking out, in that these are the festive herbs, and they kind of really add that note. Like if in essence, we're making a stuffing here, a root veg stuffing, and the main flavors of it are thyme and sage. So important with your sage, just chop it finely so that flavors really disperse throughout it.
So I'm going to reduce the temperature down to medium, low to medium, and I'm going to put the lid on and I'm going to leave it sweat, and leave it sweat for probably 5 to 7 minutes.
So while that's happening, I'm going to make some wholemeal couscous. If you're allergic or you're gluten-free, just use some quinoa instead.
It will be a little more expensive.
Yeah. So grab a bowl, open up our couscous.
We're going to go with half that.
We're going to go with about half it, so 250 grams of dried couscous.
Whole wheat obviously will be higher in fibre, so better for your health and your digestion.
If you do have some bouillon or some stock at home, it's just going to impart more flavour. So I'm going in with about a teaspoon of bouillon. I've just crumbled it up so it will disperse throughout it, and just get your hand in there and just disperse it throughout our couscous.
And all you do with couscous when you're making it is simply add boiling water literally just above the level of the couscous.
Make sure it's all submerged.
Watch me like so.
And then just grab a clean plate and just pop it on the top.
Does it have to be clean plate?
No, it doesn't, but
Okay.
for this video it does. We bought 100 grams of mixed nuts.
Budget mixed nuts. How much were they, let me tell you? I think they were 147.
Pretty good.
Oh, 127 for
Wow, that was
mixed
pretty
nuts.
good. Good deal. So we're really getting into this budget shopping, lark.
Yeah.
Grab a knife and just chop them up as finely as you can. You want a bit of variety of texture here. You want some very fine and some a little bit coarse, so there's a bit of bite. So we've got our 100 grams of nuts. We chopped them up, so there are lots of varying sizes. There's some really fine and some coarse. And in they go into the pan.
If I was allergic to nuts, Steve, could I use seeds?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, great. So on top of the nuts, I have a simple, where would any dish be?
Without umami.
Without tamari. Okay, so we got tamari. I'm going to go in with 2 tablespoons.
Probably an extremely generous 2 tablespoons.
2?
That's 2 tablespoons.
That was 2.
Some might call that 3 tablespoons, possibly. While it does go in the pan, just move it real around quick now. This is the moment where you want to just really flavour and pass that stuffing, that umami infused root veg.
Deliciousness.
So before the tamari's all evaporated, we've got our couscous. You'll see it is ready and it's kind of gone nice and fluffy. Don't worry if it's clumped together. As it goes into the pan, we're going to break it all up.
I've knocked it off the heat now, so it's just a matter of bringing it all together. So we got our puff pastry. I bought it in the frozen section of the supermarket. It's approximately something like €2 each, and they're all vegan, so it's great. You could use phyllo if you don't have it.
Just make sure you thaw it out.
Good uses. TH.
Oh, but in Ireland we struggle with TH.
Oh, 3. So it's a matter now of just putting it right in the middle of our pastry, putting our stuffing. Okay, so we've simply made it into a nice kind of
sausage-like log.
And now
it's gone right in the middle, so we're going to take the third on the other side of it. Again, TH here.
Excellent. Your
Roll
elocution
it
is
over.
excellent.
Sorry.
It's improved dramatically.
Okay, roll over the other side.
We're going to fold in the edges. Just tuck your...
And if there is some extra pastry, just chop it off because you can make little baby parcels. Just roll over our Wellington. The main reason we want the seam side down. So we're just going to score it. The tip with scoring it is get a blunt knife. Don't get a sharp knife because you don't want to go all the way through. We're just literally scoring it.
And meanwhile, while my brother is scoring it, I found a paintbrush which we're using as a pastry brush. It is a new paintbrush.
Milk goes better than oil.
Do you? Okay. I'm going to go with oil on top, but Steve wants to put oat milk on it. I'm going to brush a little bit of oil on top of it.
Okay, so we've covered it in oil. The main reason is just to incur more browning and more crust. Get your twin to hold the other end of the sheet.
Of the puff pastry delight. So this is going to be the centerpiece of our €2 Christmas dinner. Okay, oven's preheated, our spuds and carrots are in there, and now our Wellington is going into joint.
We're going to bake it for about 30 minutes until it goes lovely and golden.
Okay, so while the veg and the Wellington in the oven, I'm going to quickly make together a gravy. I've got a tablespoon of oil.
I've diced a red onion quite finely. Ready for the sizzle?
Oh!
Boom! That's going to be some serious charring there. Next step, we got about 250 ml of veg stock. In that goes, and as you see, it's immediately starting to evaporate.
Yeah, I've got 3 tablespoons of tamari. It's going to give a nice umami flavor, which is synonymous with gravy. Next very important ingredient is garlic powder. I'm going to go in with half a teaspoon.
So we're going with a little pinch of black pepper.
Meanwhile, I have a sieve. Very important that you get a sieve for this. I'm going to go in with 2 tablespoons of just a simple plain flour.
This is going to thicken it.
1.
And if you are gluten-free, use gluten-free flour.
Yeah, just make sure it's white because that's what's going to thicken it right up. So really important just to sieve out the flour. So literally just sieve it into whatever you're going to serve the gravy in. We're going to serve it with a super right-on pot.
Nice simple gravy there. Took all of 3 minutes.
Okay, so while the rest of the stuff is in the oven, we're going to just do our greens, do our cabbage. I'm getting with a tablespoon of oil into our pan. On top of that, we've got some ginger.
Thumb-sized piece of ginger that we chopped finely.
Cabbage was 49 cents, whereas Brussels sprouts were 1.49, so I went with cabbage.
So if you can afford Brussels sprouts, great, but if you can't, cabbage works great. So I've chopped the chili, obviously leave the seeds out. If you don't like it spicy, we like it spicy. So I'm gonna put half in now. I'm gonna keep the other half just for decoration at the end. When chopping the cabbage, if there's any big kind of leafy bits like that, just take them out. They're gonna be just a bit too fibrous and they're gonna end
AKA the heart of the cabbage.
Yeah. So we're gonna chop it finely. Let's get our cabbage into the first of our cabbage into the pan first.
Beautiful.
So you want a generous pinch of salt in with it right now. Again, that'll just help break down the cell wall of it. So often, cabbage being a brassica can often be a bit bitter. Many people aren't used to bitter, and you know, in the northern hemisphere, we've kind of become a less, I guess, familiar with it. I'm gonna go in with about a teaspoon of maple syrup.
It's just gonna help glaze the cabbage. Just make sure and move it around quick as soon as you get it in the pan.
Final step for the cabbage, I'm just gonna put in a little bit of sesame oil, about a tablespoon. I'm putting it in at the end of the dish because I don't want it to cook too much. I want it to keep its flavor.
Okay, dudes, it's ready to rock and roll. Okay, so make sure, I'm gonna turn everything off in the oven. Spuds! Delicious potatoes. Wellington looks cool, really, really fab. Great job, team. And carrots came out very nice as well. I think one top tip there, which I learned from this time, is if you put a tablespoon of maple syrup on the carrots too, they'll probably caramelize up even nicer.
Little things to make your Wellington look a little bit more festive. Pink peppercorns and some thyme just makes it look a lot more festive.
Okay, so now just to plate it all up, so my Wellington I'm just gonna slide off the tray. It's easier to slice like so.
Lovely.
Okay, now a few carrots, of course.
Yes, please. A bit of our spicy sprouts, our spicy cabbage.
It's gonna add a nice kind of contrast to it. And then finally, I think very, very important, we have a little bit of gravy to go on top of the Wellington.
There you are, €2 Christmas dinner and loads to spare. So this is going to feed 4 people comfortably, even 5. Spuds are hard to beat, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
So, Wellington with a bit of gravy looks fab. Makes a lovely centerpiece.
€2 Christmas dinner, really easy, simple, tasty dinner. Couldn't recommend it more. Purpose of this is just to show you that it doesn't have to be expensive. It can be easy. There was the full Christmas dinner done for 4 to 6 people. It took us less than an hour and cost less than €10. So very reasonable. Share this with anyone that you think needs this inspiration. Thank you for subscribing. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Sending loads of love. Bye.
Cheers.